to Everyday with Eve. Today I'm going to be talking to us about, how I was almost initiated. Then Jesus intervened and, saved me from, that evil experience. Now, I'm just going to start with scripture before I go into this story. 2 Chronicles 33:6 says, "He sacrificed his children in the fire in the valley of Ben Hinnom, practiced divination and witchcraft, sought omens and consulted mediums and spirits. He did much evil in the eyes of the Lord and aroused his anger." That scripture is telling us that those who practice witchcraft, divination, evil sacrifices, stir up the anger of God. They stir up God's anger and God's judgment. God has warned us to stay very clear of, evil practices, witchcraft practices, pagan practices. All those things are ungodly. Now, let me tell you the story. I was a teenager. I was in boarding school then. And a lady stopped me on my way to class. In boarding school, you stay in the school. Now, I don't know who she is. I've not met her before. And she said to me, "If someone offers you an orange, don't take it." And I was taken aback because I don't know her. But, like in Africa, you have to be kind of polite. She was elderly. And I said, "Oh, all right, okay, thank you." And then I walked on. And she walked away. Now, about 2 weeks later, I was in the dormitory. And another student came over to me and gave me an orange that has been peeled and is half of an orange. I don't know where the other half is, but she gave me half of an orange. It's already peeled. And in Africa it's very hot. It was a sunny afternoon. And honestly, the orange looked juicy. And it felt like, oh, this is just what I need. This must be refreshing. It looks so juicy. So I reached out for the orange. And as I was about to, lick the orange, now, another student ran about 250 yards. If you saw the speed, she ran so fast and she crashed into me. And as she crashed into me, the orange fell into the bin. There's this big bin we had, by the dormitory. It had no cover and it just fell in there. And straight away, I was angry, I was annoyed. I'm like, what did you do that for? Now my orange is falling in the bin. And why did you have to run like that? You could have hurt me. Why did you have to, crash into me like that? And I was just kind of, trying to find out what the matter is with her. And she said, "Oh, I don't know. I actually don't know why I did what I did. I don't know why I crashed into you, why I, ran all that way and crashed into you." But the other student who gave me the half orange was very, very angry. More angry than I was. She was not happy, to say the least. And she, was so annoyed and she was so angry, talking to this other student. "Why did you have to do that?" And she just kept on and on and on. And it was when she went on and on and on, her anger was so much, I remembered what I was told. If anyone gives you or someone gives you an orange, don't take it. And as I remember that, I thought, wow. Then I became more careful. I became cautious. Now this lady, this student who gave me the orange, started becoming overly friendly, overly nice afterwards, coming so close to me. And then she said to me, "Would you like to belong to where I belong? We don't suffer. We get anything we want. Just let me know. We can both belong in the same place." And yes, I was just about 12, 14 years old. I'm not, I was just like in Form 2, year 2, what you call year 2 in secondary school. I knew that there was something not so right about, this student who had given me the orange. So I kept my distance from that day on. And she tried and tried to try and win me over, but the more she tried, the more I ran away. And then she gave up. We have to be very, very careful. Now there are, different ways of initiating people. And, I'm so glad that, God saved me from that. Now, there's another story I must tell you, because we're talking about, initiations, and there are evil people all around us. And, it's not written on their forehead, but they are evil. They practice witchcraft and all sorts. And I don't want you to fall victim. Now, I was a baby. And, when my mom is she's just giving birth to me, I was just a few weeks old. And when she's going to have her bath, she'll put a Bible by my side, and an open Bible, because she's just finished her morning prayers. And then she goes to have a bath. Now, there's another lady in the family, who would come into the room to have a look, to see me while my mom is in the bathroom. Then when she, come into the room, she's not able to do anything because the Bible is there. And she used to, get so angry why my mom leaves the Bible, by my side. And we didn't know anything about this. 35 years later, this woman confessed that she is a witch, and confessed that my mom would always put a Bible by my side while I was a baby, and that was why she was not able to harm me. 35 years down the line, I was 35 years old when this broke out, that she had evil intention, but she was not able to carry out that intention. People of God, God protects his people. God protected me from evil. There are so many stories in my lifetime that I can tell you. I will be sharing them, as the Lord gives me grace to do so. God has been so faithful in my life. God has done so much in my life that, it's good to share, to encourage people that God looks after his own. I remember the scripture in Psalm 91, 9-11. It says, "No harm will overtake you. No disaster will come near your tent. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." So you see, God protects his people. There are so many things God has protected you from. You might not even be aware of it. There are so many evil that is done around, around us, around the children of God. And you wake up, normal day, you go to work, you go out, and that's why I always pray, God, preserve my going out and my coming in. It's very important, because while we sleep, the enemy is at work planning evil. So whenever you're going out, pray that God will preserve your going out and your coming in. God will preserve your children, they are going out and they are coming in. And for those who are in boarding school, they are not home, you send them off to school, support them with prayer and teach them also to pray. God is not asleep, and he is not ignorant of the wickedness, that goes on in our world. He protects us, he protects his children. We are reminded in Proverbs 16:4, and I'll read, "The Lord has made everything for his own purposes, even the wicked for a day of disaster." Revelations 21:8 says, and it warns that sorcerers, witchcraft, magic, along with the sexually immoral, murderers, and idolaters will be cast into the lake of fire. So there is judgment. There is judgment coming for those who practice witchcraft, sorcery, and who do evil sacrifices, and who cast spells. God has warned us in the Bible to stay away from these things. These things are real, and these things are happening. So we need to protect ourselves and our children with prayer. Cover yourself, cover your family. Be full of prayer, especially when you go out. Before you go to bed and when you wake up in the morning, pray. Have a lifestyle of prayer, because that's the only way that, you're going to be able to overcome this evil that is all around us. Thank you for watching. See you when I upload my next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Want to ask Eve a question? Send an email to everydayquestionswitheve@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.